The scent of lilies always made my stomach churn, even before everything changed. They were her favorite, the white ones, shaped like trumpets, announcing some grand arrival. Yet, they smelled like a funeral for something once beautiful, something I cherished. I heard the lock click, the familiar jangle of keys, followed by the slight push as the door opened. I didn't look up from the worn pages of my book. Not yet. I was waiting, listening. Her heels clicked on the hardwood floor, a sound that used to make my heart flutter. Today, though, each tap felt like a hammer blow, echoing the broken rhythm of my heart. "Honey, I'm home." Her voice was bright, too bright, and I could hear the fake smile in it. The sound grated like nails on a chalkboard. I kept my eyes glued to the page, pretending to be engrossed in fictional characters while my own life became a tragic joke. "Oh, look," she said, closer now. "I got you some lilies. I know how much you love them." The lie hung in the air, thick and suffocating. That's when I finally looked up. I forced a small, tight smile, one that probably looked more like a grimace. "They're beautiful, Sarah," I said, my voice calm, maybe too calm. Years of practice hiding my emotions made me an expert. I watched her as she crossed the room and placed the lilies in the vase on the coffee table. She wore her usual casual summer dress, too bright for the beige walls of our living room. Her blonde hair, which I used to love running my fingers through, was perfectly styled, not a strand out of place. She was the same Sarah, but not the same Sarah I fell in love with. Then she stopped. Her eyes widened, her lips parted slightly, and the color drained from her face, making her look as white as the lilies she brought. Where is it?" she whispered, the bright facade finally crumbling. I knew exactly what she meant. The spot on the wall above the fireplace, where our wedding picture had hung for the last 8 years, was empty. I had taken it down this morning. The hooks were gone, the wall wiped clean. Not even a trace remained. "What's missing, Sarah?" I asked, my voice still calm, almost detached. I wanted her to say it, to speak the guilt she tried so hard to hide. "The picture, the wedding picture, where is it?" She was pacing now, her heels tapping nervously on the floor, the sound amplified in the silence. I closed my book, a thick biography of Abraham Lincoln, and set it down on the coffee table. She stopped pacing and turned to me, her eyes searching mine, panic flickering beneath her fear. "Why?" she asked. I leaned back in my chair, meeting her gaze. "Because, Sarah, a picture is supposed to capture a moment in time, a memory, a snapshot of a specific point in a relationship." I paused, letting my words sink in. "And that picture, the wedding picture, it's a lie." She recoiled, as if I'd slapped her. "What are you talking about?" Her voice trembled now, her calm facade completely gone. "It's a picture of us on what was supposed to be the best day of our lives. The day that was supposed to mark the beginning of a lifelong promise. And it doesn't represent who we are anymore, does it? It's just a picture, a reminder of something that no longer exists." I watched her try to process this. Her confusion gave way to realization. Her eyes narrowed, and for a moment, I saw a flash of anger quickly suppressed. "You know it," I said. "It's not a question. It's a statement of fact." "Yes, Sarah, I know." I let the silence hang thick and heavy, the unspoken accusations filling the air between us. "How long?" she whispered, barely audible. "Long enough," I replied. I didn't elaborate. I didn't tell her about the burner phone I found hidden in her purse, or the endless texts and late-night calls that painted a detailed picture of her double life. I didn't mention how I had painstakingly documented each piece of evidence, each little betrayal. Who is he?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Does it matter?" I replied flatly. "His name won't change the fact that you betrayed me, Sarah. It won't erase the months of lies and deceit." She collapsed onto the couch, her face buried in her hands, the lilies forgotten on the table. "I don't know what to say," she sobbed, the perfect facade finally shattered. Don't, I said. Don't say anything. Just listen. I pulled a small flat box from the side table. It wasn't a jewelry box like the ones I had given her before. It was a plain cardboard box tied with simple brown string. I set it on the coffee table in front of her, watching as she slowly looked up. Her red, swollen eyes were full of questions, confusion, and a flicker of hope. She untied the string, her hands shaking. Inside, she found not jewels, but stacks of carefully curated papers. Bank statements, phone records, travel itineraries, and a few photos I'd secretly taken. They weren't loving pictures. These captured stolen moments, secret meetings, and hushed whispers between her and him. She didn't speak, just sifted through the evidence. The truth was laid bare before her. Her face paled as she realized the extent of my knowledge. The hope in her eyes quickly extinguished, replaced by pure, unadulterated fear. Everything, I said, my voice low but clear. Everything you did, every lie you told, every secret rendezvous. It's all there, Sarah. Documented. The weight of her betrayal finally crashed down on her. The sob that escaped her was raw, gut-wrenching. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading, but there was no pity in mine, only a profound sense of weariness. I made a mistake, she whispered, choking on her tears. A mistake? I repeated, my words dripping with sarcasm. This wasn't a mistake, Sarah. This was a choice. A long, calculated, deliberate choice to break our vows, to destroy our marriage, to destroy me. She didn't say anything. She just sat there, defeated, her eyes reflecting the truth of what had happened. I'm leaving, I said, standing up. I've already packed a bag. I've filed for divorce. The papers will be served within the week. There's a lawyer's letter among those papers, Sarah, explaining the details of the prenup we signed that day. The day that photograph was taken. The day you're no longer a part of. I walked to the door without looking back, leaving her there, surrounded by the ruins of her lies and deception. The sound of her heels on the floor once filled my heart with joy. Today, they sounded like the death knell of something that was never meant to be. As I stepped outside, I took a deep breath, and for the first time in months, the air felt clean. The weight was lifted. The satisfaction didn't come from her pain, but from my freedom. The memory of her white face, surrounded by her white lies, was more satisfying than any revenge I could have imagined. I drove away, leaving her with the quiet hum of her own regrets and the silent whisper of a marriage that was never meant to be. And I knew, deep in my bones, that I was finally free.